Most people making content are optimizing for the wrong metric. There's content that gets you noticed and content that gets you paid. On the surface, they look the same, but that's the trap. You could be doing everything right and still be broke because attention was never the goal. Clients were. In just 4 months, I took my personal brand to a multiple six-figure business. Our consulting business is doing $40K a month, and almost all of that traces back to content. Most people would think that they need years of experience or a marketing degree. And we had none of that. But what we did have was the right system and the willingness to actually run it fast instead of sitting on it. So today I'm breaking down the 7 things regarding content that will actually move the needle inside your business. And this is not theory. This is the exact shifts that took me from posting into the void to booking clients from content. And here's where most people get stuck. They think that if they just post more, something would click. So they post every day, they have the numbers, and 6 months later, they got the followers, but no clients. That's not a content problem, that is a strategy problem. And most people don't even find out because they're too busy asking, what do I post today? Instead of asking the one question that actually matters. And that is, what is the one thing my ideal client doesn't believe yet that is keeping her from buying? You fix that question and everything else gets easier. So let's get into the breakdown. Here are the 7 lessons that have actually built my business. Number 1, post to attract a client and not an audience. You're going to have to stop posting for everybody. You need to actually pick one person in mind. It can be a real person or the dream client that you actually want to work with. And then you need to speak directly to her. Speak directly to that person. I had a client who was creating content for the broad idea of women entrepreneurs. And her content just felt generic because nobody actually felt like they were personally being spoken to. And that's the problem you can get in if you're just posting for everybody. You don't actually know to a deep degree and a deep level what is your ICP, your ideal client profile, experiencing right now. And if you were to actually map that out, how that looks, get an understanding from previous clients, top clients, onboarding forms, then you would know exactly what they're experiencing, exactly what they want, exactly what their desire. So you're no longer speaking from theory, you are actually speaking from real evidence, real people, real data, and that just makes content hit even harder. Now, the moment that she actually started writing to one specific person, her engagement became a lot more intentional, her DMs became even more qualified, and the conversations naturally led to sales. So you have to truly understand that when you are posting content, you're not speaking to a huge crowd. You're speaking to one person who has their phone like this. And you need to be able to speak directly to that person and be intentional. Now, the second thing is sales does not start on the call. Okay, by the time that someone books a call, they've already formed an opinion about whether you are the right person to help them. Right? The purpose of your content is not to simply educate them, it's to create enough belief before the conversation ever happens. So your content should build belief, and that belief is what creates that certainty, and that certainty is what creates sales. So if every sales calls feel like you're pulling teeth or you're convincing someone to buy or you're having to justify your price, it's not a sales problem. Okay, it's not actually a sales problem or conversion problem or you're bad at handling objection. It is simply that your content is not doing its job. It's not pre-selling your audience to where when they show up on their call, they're already pre-sold. They already know about you, the offer. They already are like, this is the person who can help me. I just need this to be an alignment call. Number 3 is extremely overlooked, but you have to understand that your IG funnel is either building trust or it is costing trust. And so before anyone ever messages you or before you even message them, they are evaluating your profile. Like, what does your bio say? What are your pinned posts? What are your highlights? The testimonials, right? And overall the positioning of your page, because it's either going to reduce the risk or it's going to increase it, meaning that your page needs to be able to create another level of certainty that you are the person to help them, right? So your pinned post should not be the most viral post, right? It should answer your audience's biggest question, which is, can I trust this person to buy from them, right? And that's the thing. It's not views that's going to give you money. It's not your following count. It's simply belief is what actually converts. Do they believe that they're going to get results from you? Do they believe that you are able to fix the problem that they have? Are you the number one solution for them? So every single touch point on your profile should reinforce your authority, right? And it should support the promise that your content is making. Your content, your offer, and your sales should all be saying the same exact thing. Number 4 is objections aren't rejection, okay? So every objection is simply an unanswered question your audience still has. And when you look at it that way, you can improve so much. You can find the holes that you have in your system, in your content, and be able to directly answer that for your audience, right? So when multiple people give you the same objection, right, they are showing you exactly what your content is missing. So if you are getting objections in the DMs and conversations on sales calls, whatever it may be on your onboarding forms, like what were they struggling with? What was the thing that was preventing them from investing? If you can get those questions answered and know where it's breaking down, then you can be able to directly put that back into your content to be able to build that trust, nurture your audience, and answer some of those questions that they already are thinking about in their head. And if you can answer those questions faster than your competitors, then they're going to be able to trust you, right? So that feedback is super important, that you are understanding what is preventing your audience from buying. What are those questions that they have in their head that you need to answer? So those exact objections become your next testimonial. They become your next client story, right? They become your next story sequence, and they become your next belief shifting video. So a middle of funnel content post or a YouTube video where you can answer those questions that people are bringing up. So instead of viewing objections as just a rejection, view them as free market research, because people are letting you know what they're thinking, the limiting beliefs that they have had. So if you can take that from understanding where they're at in the funnel, understanding, okay, in your DMs that you're getting when you're having conversations with people, you're noticing this fear is coming up. You're noticing this limiting belief is coming up. You notice that, there's a lot of people are saying, oh, I already have a coach, or, oh, I already know enough. I can do this by myself, or whatever objection is coming up. Now you know that you need to reframe that limiting belief that they have, that they can fix it by themselves, or if they can YouTube their way to, going to 50K, 100K months. If you can overcome that, and if you can be the one that addresses that limiting belief, then you would be able to be the one that they trust to make the next decision. Okay, so number 5 is a small following is not the problem that you think it is. A lot of people will be like, I have a low following account. I have only 1,000 followers, only 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 followers, and I feel like that's why I'm not making sales. But I've seen creators with only a few thousand followers consistently outperform creators with audiences 10 times their size. Matter of fact, when I first launched my offer, I only had 1,500 Instagram followers, but I was able to hit 30K months. So I can 100% say that your following count does not matter. Your vanity metrics does not matter, and you're optimizing for the wrong thing if you are always tracking, how many followers I have or how many views I have. Okay, so waiting until you have more followers is actually what's keeping you from going to that next level and stepping into those consistent 30K, 40K, 50K, 100K months. So waiting until you have more followers before thinking that you can sell your offer or hit these record months is actually one of the most expensive limiting beliefs that you could have, because you don't need more followers in order to generate sales, which leads us to our next point, which is speed beats a perfect system every single time. Okay, I did not wait until every single piece of my business was perfect before I launched, or I did not wait till I had a perfect piece of content before I launched. I didn't wait to get good at YouTube before I posted my first YouTube video. And so I built the system as I was moving, and then I approved it over time. That is what the high level entrepreneurs understand, is that they're not waiting till they have the perfect lighting, the perfect, angle, the perfect shot, the perfect camera, whatever it may be. They are just going. They're just posting. They're testing. They're like a scientist. Literally, they are trying to understand what actually works. What does my audience resonate with? What is the messaging that connects the most? And so while you're trying to figure out the perfect post and the perfect messaging, you're losing already. So the willingness to move before feeling ready was actually one of the biggest reasons I reached 6 figures in just 4 months instead of 4 years, or instead of a year or 2 years, 3 years, because I was willing to move. I was willing to test. I was willing to be uncomfortable. I was willing to, put myself out there and embarrass myself in order to get the results faster. And so you have to understand that clarity comes from you actually doing the thing, from you actually taking action, right? It's not from just endless preparation. You could be preparing for 10 years and have it come out and it failed. But I rather take those steps. I rather fail multiple times and understand what works and what doesn't work before I wait for the perfect time or the perfect moment. And the very last thing is you have to stop measuring content by views and start measuring it by decisions. And what I mean is that views only tell you what people watched, right? They do not tell you what actually generated income and revenue for your business. So the metrics that matter are conversations started from pieces of content. It's the DMs that you received. It's the calls booked. It's the, submissions that you have for your offer, right? And it's the contracts actually signed. That is the metrics that you need to understand. The DMs, the conversations had, the piece of content that actually resonated with your audience. The views don't matter. You can post a top of funnel piece of content and it get millions of views and not actually bring a single penny into your business. But if you are posting a piece of content, maybe it's middle of funnel and it's ICP specific, that is going to generate, and that is able to generate you far more money than a video that does millions of views. So that's what I always have to think of, is you can have millions of views and very little revenue, or a relatively small audience that consistently produces premium clients. And you always want to be able to optimize your content for decisions and not just an applause, not just for, attention and these vanity metrics. So turning your content into actual clients isn't about posting more or chasing bigger numbers. It's about who you're actually speaking to. How much trust have you actually built before the call? And how fast you're willing to act on the information that you already know from your clients and from your ecosystem. So if you want to stop posting content into the void and actually start posting and building content that fills your calendar with qualified people and signing clients, click the first link in the description to book your free strategy call. We'll take a look at your content and find out exactly where that gap is and map out how to turn your next 90 days of content into paying clients. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.